Currently a lecturer and senior researcher at the Institute for Information Systems at the University of Applied Sciences and Arts, Northwestern, Switzerland. And he has over 15 years experience in academia and as a consultant. He provides clients with postgraduate education and does research and consulting work in the interaction of digital transformation with sustainability.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I got asked to share with you thoughts which keep me awake at night. And then I thought, okay, what really drives me is what makes it possible to get, for example, digital transformations better managed, more successful, or even things like sustainability. However, I framed it towards digital transformation because that's what I'm working with for the last 6 years. But it could easily be transferred into a bigger concept like sustainability. Because if we look or take into consideration what reality communicates, then we see that asking people, and I think this was the Sloan Management School study or research, that they claim, yeah, there are some technologies out which will heavily impact us. And 90% either strongly agreed or somehow agreed that it will change the way how we work. So there seems to be something coming. However, at the same time, the same group indicates 44% that they think there's a big lack or skills and abilities are lacking to know how the business will be impacted or even how it should be conceptualized, and that the risk or the willingness to take risks and experiment is very limited. For me, the question is, and then the other presentation I showed the trend towards digital transformation. Everybody talks about digital transformation, and every organization is assumed to transform somehow using digital technology elements, changing their business model. But nobody really seems to be able to explain why. And that's for me somehow like this picture indicates that, yeah, we think a lot and then suddenly there's a plan, but we cannot really connect our plan to our activities. And that's not just in digital transformation the case. And by the way, success rate is very, very low. It's depending on how we define success, something like less than 40%. Lots of money is involved, lots of social capital is involved. And if you have to take the transformation the second time, you can guess how high the level of motivation is. And then the question is, okay, why is that? And if I talk to my colleagues or the people who are involved, they support that. So there's a lot of formal analysis. We have a lot of tools and frameworks, especially in IT, but also in strategic management, where we try to analyze the need, the as-is situation. But if I talk then to my people, mostly they say, can we get rid of the people? Because it would be so nice doing the project if there's not these people involved. And sometimes I have the feeling even in IT, it seems to be that we work heavily on organizations where there's no human being longer involved. For me, that's not an organization. An organization is definitely people, and they are supported by technology to do something bigger, better. And if I look on, that's my view on digital transformation, then there's something called business, and that's embedded in a bigger environment. And this business is driven and aligned possible because we have some information technologies which makes work easier, which also improves our performance, hopefully. And so that also offers opportunities for business, But at the same time, if we look around like Uber, Airbnb, the technology is not just shaping the business model, it's also shaping or modifying the environment where the business is embedded. However, organizations are really, really bad to respond to that. They are heavily investing in technology. I don't want to talk against technology, I'm also using them. And I'm even working in an institution where that is the case to think about how we can improve that. But the question is, where is the complexity and what is maybe also wrong with it or could be improved? And I found a quote from Donald Schoen, which I liked a lot, because he says, look, we are just picking the low-hanging fruit somehow. We are just focusing on the simple technical issues, which are more easily to fix, but we totally ignore or try to neglect that is not the real question. The real question is, how can we make that, use that, in order to work for the bigger problems or challenges? And I like the communication presentation from yesterday because they also somehow addressed that a little bit, saying, yeah, maybe we should think about it. And in the end, it's a dilemma. So if I talk to my colleagues or my partners where I do research or consulting, then most of the time they say, look, we do not have time to really think, we need to act, which is okay, but it's depending on the problem if we have. If we have a technical problem, then maybe the action is the bias. But if we have a complex problem, and this sounds like more complex problem, then the bias is learning. And there the question is, okay, is there something which can help us? So is there an approach which helps us to make, I call it the theory of success, more explicit? Theory of success in that way that usually we have an idea in mind how it should work. And especially when we have had the opportunity to talk about, okay, this is the business, this is what we would like to do, then people by themselves, more tacit than explicit, have an understanding, sometimes we call this mental model, what needs to be done. And I think one approach to make it more explicit, it's not a new one, could be that we again try to promote feedback system thinking. Because in the end, the biggest challenge here, I think, it's because it's so complex and dynamic. Because when listening to my institute's lead, Rolf Dornberg, if we get all these sensors, and we have already very much, we get very much interconnected. And everything I do has an effect on somebody else. So my action is always producing another action. At the moment, we have some buffers in between because the internet is not working, for example, where an action is somehow buffered. But as soon we are really connected to each other, it will be really, really dynamic and complex. And I think system thinking can help us to look for answers and better ideas, what can be done. I like the picture of from Kaufman very much. You cannot divide a cow in two by sliding it. If I talk to, for example, IT consultants about this kind of thinking, they all have heard about systems. They all think they deal with systems. But what they do, usually, because they are smart people, they have a transformation program and then they split it in nicely packaged and they say, okay, you do the technical part of the project, you do maybe more the strategic part, and you are in charge for ensuring the quality. And even the technical projects are divided in the program in smaller projects. And then when they put it again together, they realize, oh, no, that's not what we wanted to produce. That should work different or look different. And what they do not really take under consideration is that they did exactly fragmenting the problem in order to solve it. And I think that's not a problem in itself, and that makes us very successful in the past. But for different kinds of problems, we need different kinds of approaches. And I think especially when it is interconnected or hyper-connected, as we say in digital, we have many, many elements involved, because it's not longer that we have just one client we talk to because we would like to modify the email account or software. We have several different stakeholders now. If you have a digital transformation, usually, especially in more global organization, you have plenty of different kingdoms and stakeholders who have all their own needs. They have all their own special sub-program or infrastructure. And if you would like to put that together, it's really, really challenging. And I think we need something upfront where we can learn a little bit better about what we can do. This might be known to most of them. I do not know who is here and who is not here, from which background. That's why I put this in, because I think feedback system thinking, or taking into consideration that there are feedbacks, helps us to step back and see the bigger picture. So we need to get out of the detailed. So if I talk to my colleagues who are responsible for IT implementation, they are in these nitty details, and because all of these trees, they are not longer able to see the forest. Stepping back might help to get a bigger picture, a richer picture. Because it's dynamic, yes, we are all interested in surviving tomorrow. But sometimes we also need to take under consideration what will be the day after tomorrow. And especially when we handle with such radical changes. So when everything will be connected, when the robot will approach me, what will be my purpose, my vision for the day after, or even where should my kids live? And then we need to have the opportunity to somehow simulate that, or think about how we can do that. And also recognize that it is very interconnected and not so easy. And system thinking also helps to take not just the hard facts or the economic, monetary things under consideration. That's also in my other presentation, I talked about Uber, for example. And for them, it's attractiveness, something that's really important. And using an approach like this, we somehow have the opportunity or the possibility to also take that into consideration, find ways to see how this is interacting each other. And I think especially system thinking helps to be aware of that we all have our view on the world, on the reality. But unfortunately, we are not really seeing the reality. And especially when we talk about living system, it's not like or comparable to a machine system. That camera, for example, that is recording me. That is exactly recording what I'm saying. If I would give you an assignment now to write down exactly what I have said the last minutes, it would be nearly impossible for you. But if I would give you the assignment to write down about your thoughts and feelings about what I have said, you could easily do that. That camera will not give me this information. So the question is, how does this capability help me, or is of benefit for me, to solve complex situations or challenges, and at the same time maybe using technology to support me? And I think we need to be more aware of how does our mental models affect, influence, and select what we see. And usually, especially when we are in a challenging situation, we react to events, and then we wonder, something has happened, we come up with a solution, and then again, it's happening. We are rarely able to step back and see the pattern or the structure behind it. But I believe in, or that's at least what I think, and we started that in the late 80s with system archetypes, that there are some generic structures also for the future of technologies, however that will look like. So it's just the question, what will be there? How does this structure look, and how will it affect others. So can I somehow operationalize my theory of success for, in this case, digital transformation, but maybe also for challenges like sustainability. And I think system thinking or feedback system thinking helps us because it helps us to move from the crisis, the events which pop up, which keeps us busy, which keeps us firefighting, down to are there any trends, and then seeing the system and the structure. Because I think as soon we are able to see the structure, we can easily, or maybe not easily, but we can make it more successfully explicit how we think a business is working or a society is working, and we can also discuss about it. So it's not for prediction. It's not to get a feeling what definitely needs to be done. It's more like, okay, what is affecting each other? How or why maybe is it affecting? And what might be potential causes and side effects? Because in the end, it's difficult sometimes to, especially when we are trained in a linear way, to think about that there might be other effects affecting my decision. And this way helps us to be aware of, okay, this is there, and then we can use it for communication and maybe learning. So feedback system thinking, I think, first of all, it forces us to think about what do we really want? Where would we like to go? And that's often forgotten in project management, digital transformation. That seems to be clear for everybody. But then they start working on the transformation roadmap or the project plan. But the essential question is, do we go that direction or do we go that direction? And why? Because if I go this direction, I need a different plan, then I go that direction. And unfortunately, with all this new technology, it's getting more and more difficult to decide what is the right direction. When are we effective? When are we doing the right thing? Because it's unknown. So what will be the next Uber? Or what will be happening to the automotive industry? Is it about the smart car, smart city? Or is it more about that the work should approach me? No, not I should move from A to B to work. No, the work should come to me, and I not at all need a car. But then the question is, okay, what should we do? And especially with this new technology, the opportunities are massive. The question is, what do we do with them? And I think what we need to improve is our learning in the widest field or understanding. How many time I? You're doing fine. Okay. Because the easy problems will be solved by a robot later. So I need to be aware of how can I handle more difficult questions, and what do I know about it? Where's my position, and what is different to in another position, and how can we improve our communication? So it's maybe not so much about simulating processing it, it's more about communicating and making sense. Because I think in the past, the challenge for management was to produce a product and sell it. In the future, the challenge for management is to make sense. Because we all live in a bubble. We do not know when will the next Uber, Google, Apple crash my business. But at the same time, unfortunately, we are really limited by our knowledge about the real world. We just see, that's due to the mental model, what we would like to see. And the question is, can we do something? And I think if we are aware of our ignorance, and we appreciate maybe even our ignorance, then and we are looking for ways how to handle this, then it might be possible also to find different ways to communicate better. And I think definitely when you engage people in a change process, your change process is much better. There will be still people who do not like the change, maybe who will also leave the boat. But I think the majority is unhappy, that's not a nice word, it's does not really like to be told what to do. So they resist that somebody tell them, look, you need to change. If you can tell them that, look, this is the situation and I engage with you in the discussion about what can we do, and look, this is how I see the world. And now I realize, oh, that's how you see the world. Then maybe we find a third way or a synergy where we can then agree. Unfortunately, this is much more, it takes much more effort to do that than just going for the low-hanging fruit. It's not new, so that's from Stearman, 1994, he claimed that. What I added is my theory of success here, and some points. I think, in general, our learning is limited because we are really aware of what is our theory of success. We are really aware of, if we have all these nice tools, what can we do with them? And what won't we really like to do? And usually when this gears our decisions, our policies, and then that affects the real world. And what is missing here is that there's some feedback. So we are definitely biased. And while we are biased, we are not able to really make the best decisions. And then it ends up in something like, let's play games. If you are in a bigger transformation, which involves maybe even different functions, then everybody claims that, look, we do that with his department. But I need these processes because we are special. So change that, but keep us. And if everybody's playing this, you will not change anything. So the question is then, how can we come to a consensus? How can we make this better? And I think if we are better in, and that's what I like with the presentation from Professor Steelman, there he tries to anticipate, okay, what kind of feedback can I get? How can I operationalize these assumptions into something which helps me simulate it or make a virtual world out of it? So using technology which is available to improve my feedback, and then also by that checking with my mental models, hopefully in a discussion and in a dialogue, which was the design thinking, because it's so difficult in real management to make experiments. I cannot say, look, let's start our transformation. We will look for 1 week and then we take it back and we start new because this approach was not the right one. Let's have another experiment. That's not possible in management. So we have to think about other opportunities. The difficulty here is that it's so difficult to communicate. And also my colleagues are reserved because it takes time in the beginning. You have to get all the people on board to think about, okay, do we have the resources to invest and think about, and then you are increasing complexity. You're not making it easier. Everybody asks for simplifying. What I do is, no, simplify comes later. For the time being, it will be worse and complex and uncertain. But I think that is well invested, because when we spend this time, maybe at the beginning or something earlier, decision makers are really forced and have to think about, okay, what do they think? How should that work? And then we can maybe bridge this picture from all the nice formal analysis towards the plan, the implementation, because in the end, I guess that's the challenge, that we grow with, we use our limited knowledge and our limited processing capabilities, combine that with all the technology we have to keep or to go on the next level, and not just being overrolled and being automated and ending up that I have to plug myself on, but I'm not really longer involved in the society, in the living system, because somebody decided that that's too expensive. And I think that's my wish, because I would like that my kids love to live in a nice future, that we are able to see, okay, what is limiting us? How can we improve that? Maybe even not using it for getting a better weather forecast, but really to improve our learning and realizing, okay, if we would like to jointly discuss that, to look where is potential, where can I improve my decision, my behavior for the best of the overall, then I think that is at least from my perspective, a really appropriate way to do that, and it helps to operationalize our model, our theory of success. However, it's still a model, and it's wrong. But as long as we are aware of that, we play around and we get more and more insight, and we can learn to improve it on single small steps, I think that's the big step forward. And Peter Drucker already, 94, said that every organization has that. Unfortunately, if you read his article a little bit later, he said that's why most organizations do not survive, because they are not able to change it. They keep, when they were once successful, they keep that, this theory. And they're we are really hard in changing it. Unfortunately, the environment is not waiting. It's changing all the time, and some people even claim that the environment is changing faster than in the past. So we need to find ways to improve that, to reimagine or redesign our theories about what we think, how the world is run. That's my thinking about what we should do. I unfortunately cannot really give you the answer to it, but what we try at our institute, so here especially at the Competence Center for Technology, Organization and People, is to check, are there some generic structures? And what is different between what was investigated in the past? Can we collect the insight, the theory of success of these people? Because usually there is a transformation manager or a program manager who, if he's really successful, he have had his 3 to 5 programs and he gained a lot of information experience. But it's lost for all the others because it's in his goods. So he thinks that is, he does because he thinks this is the right way to do, and it's not able to capture. And my idea would be learning from this, getting that, make it more explicit so it's easier to share and discuss and to build on that. Yes, that's me, and that's what I believe in. Thank you very much.